And I'm recording.
All right.
I don't know if it's going to be a very interesting recording, but it is going to be a recording.
Enrique's here. You remember the time Enrique was here and it was boring? I don't.
That has never
Actually,
happened.
there was
Ever.
one recently that I was just, I don't know. And that I'm not feeling that today, but man, am I way in over my head. Shit.
Well, Enrique, talk about the last F1 race.
Oh, that was amazing.
See?
Till my boy Lando got pushed out of the way and got penalized. But any which way, next race we got payback on it.
There you go. See, it's never boring when you're here, Enrique. You're the light of my life.
Oh my goodness,
Sunshine in the
awesome.
darkness.
Look at that.
We're
I
just
have a
gonna
purpose
leave
in life.
You have a purpose.
We do have breakout rooms if you guys need a little sports
Probably
cover or
do.
something.
How does that work?
Ooh, I do have a PSA for everyone.
Oh boy.
Go
All
vote.
right.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did that
Wait,
2 weeks ago.
Well, I did that this morning.
Yeah.
Man, there was not a long line.
No. I was in and out in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Wow, I
kind of
was
what
in
I
and
want to
out
do.
in
I'm gonna go
45.
to this meeting.
Yeah,
That's
I
gonna
won
be
in
much fun.
7.
Oh gosh.
We're a mail vote in state here. So yeah, that was done days and days and days ago.
Yeah.
Lucky
Well, good.
Hi guys.
I
see you got in.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Amy.
I see no cats.
Okay. No, I don't know where they are.
Well, doing kitty cat things.
Well,
Yeah.
domination. You're not expecting it. Yeah.
so
The cats are
congratulations.
obviously in line at the polls.
Oh, yes. World domination.
Congratulations, because
Step
this is
1.
our first K office hours.
Indeed,
That's
this
true.
is.
Yeah.
That is true.
This is.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hop out and let you guys do your thing. I have a conflict, but
We
I
bored
saw that
you.
Thanks, Amy.
Conflict.
No, I just
Yeah.
saw that maybe nobody could get in, and I wanted to hop in. I'll fix that for sure.
Yeah, that was entirely Amy. I think we identified that before you jumped on. It was me because I was traveling yesterday, and I think my credentials got put in a different time zone. And I'm just going to blame Obama.
That's fine.
Thanks, Obama.
Blame somebody. So.
All right. Well, I used to blame Putin, but that didn't roll off the tongue like blame Obama. Thanks, Amy.
All right. Bye, guys. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye, Amy.
And I will absolutely echo the PSA. Yeah, if you guys haven't got out and voted, please do. It's important. And that's as political as we're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter who you vote for, just vote for them. Vote for someone.
It doesn't matter who you vote for.
I want one of
you want to win, isn't it?
I want the lady or the guy to win one of those.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, no, isn't that like what the Simpsons where you start talking about which is the 2 aliens are going to win? That's all right. Well, looks like we're starting to get a few folks rolling in. So good morning, everyone. And yes, as Enrique mentioned, this is our first meeting of office hours. Now that we're part of one big kumbaya happy family with Kaseya. So anybody has any specific questions about that, of course, we're happy to chat about that. But I will say this on the technical side. One of the very publicly voiced concerns, and it's an understandable concern, is that sometimes when larger companies buy smaller companies, development stops. And that is really, really, really not happening here. And I'm not afraid to. Yeah, I know, right, David? David's asking when are we going to get some swag. I keep waiting for my T-shirts, like the welcome kit with the coffee mug and all that. In the last couple of meetings we've had, one of the things that we did very early on was like ISO 27001, which is a huge lift if any of you have been through it. And it's an important step. But when we were a 21 or 25 person firm, we started that process. And that's why we have that in place. Of course, we had SOC 2.2, the ASVS level 3, the OWASP level 3 stuff. We're just wrapping that up. GDPR, of course, for our European data center. Of the, 2737 products that Kaseya has under their belt, we're one of the few that has all of those in place. And I'm not going to say that we are the golden standard on where they want to get. We are at a standard that we all need to be at. So that's one of those things that a lot of the folks on the Kaseya side were grateful to have, if not the the path led to that for compliance, but at least some experienced folks that have been through this and are going to give them some guidance. So um, that's something that our development team really didn't expect, that all of a sudden they're the subject matter experts on how to get there. And with all the FedRAMP and all the rest of the efforts that Kaseya already has in process, we're kind of in lockstep there. So this has been a fun experience on that side. Also, I can guarantee you, development has not even slowed down a bit. Our platform was really built from the ground up because we started with a blank slate. You know, it wasn't like we had to inherit somebody else's ideas. We built from the ground up with the idea that machine learning and AI were always going to be a part of this, and interoperability was always going to be a part of this. And the fruits of that are showing in that the way we were able to, in a number of days, long hours, but our development team was in a number of days able to start interconnecting our platform with Kaseya and everybody else, has been pretty impressive. And our engineering team is not to be dismissed lightly or ever, really, because they have done a huge amount of work in a very short order. And I think you guys are going to see a lot of really interesting stuff coming out of this, the synergy we've got between the two platforms. So that's my blanket statement, guys. And anybody have any questions about the whole Kaseya integration process? Because we'll probably won't have the answers, but we'll make them up.
Funny thing is, my Kaseya implementation call is right after this call.
Excellent, excellent. I wish I could join one of those. I have yet to be on one of those. I have no idea what that looks like.
You're more than welcome to. It's my party. I guess I can invite anyone I want.
Indeed, you can. Indeed, you can. In any case, guys, on that same front, I'll let Amanda and Leron sort of give you the lowdown. But some of the things you've been asking for that sort of got put on the back burner are coming forward, like the ability in a respond rule to not just send to an SMS or to the app, the mobile phone app, but to actually put an email address in there specifically. So if you've got a point of contact at a co-managed situation that needs to be alerted for some kinds of respond rules firing, you're going to have that ability here shortly. I'm pretty sure that'll happen this month, and a number of other things. They've got about 152 items like that in the backlog that are going to come out this quarter. So look for some continued development there. Now, the real reason we come here every day is to hear what you guys are up to every week, every 2 weeks. The reason we come here is to figure out, how can we help? Are you guys seeing anything interesting on the platform? Are you doing anything interesting? Is there anything that we can help you with? Oh, I see a hand going up on Enrique, even though the little AI didn't pick up on it. There it is.
Finally, it picked up. So we're getting complaints from users with alerts we're sending them without IP data. I know I've asked in the past, and I know it's something work in progress, I believe. I might be lying, but I think that's what I've heard. How is that coming along? Because yesterday they sent me a text message directly asking me like, well, I got this alert, but it doesn't show the IP address. So it's like,
is that based on a respond trigger?
That's what I'm going to go look at really quick because I already forgot.
One of the things that I've complained to Dev about, and I haven't gotten any traction with, so I'm glad I'm going to go back to them and say, hey, my partners are complaining as well, is when something happens internally, when respond is working internally, it says IP not found or something. And I would like to change the verbiage to let you know that that was an internal process. And so there is no IP capture. It's one module talking to another. It's the manage module talking to the reporting module. It's the manage module talking to the respond module, or respond module doing something back. And that is something that we need to work on the verbiage just to make that understandable.
I thought they added that into the PSA integration. It's not managed yet, but I thought it was in PSA integration.
Then maybe my dev team is moving faster than me. That is entirely possible.
I thought that's one of the things that Adam was talking about.
Well, I know they were talking about enriching the respond process into including the original triggering event, so that a tier 1 engineer had full view of the event, everything that happened there, and everything that subsequent down that subway map sort of happened. but I don't believe it's represented as anything that except IP not found or not represented. Mark, good question. Give me just a moment and we'll talk about that. Enrique, yeah, we'll take a look at that. And if my complaint is the same as your complaint, we'll take that back to Amanda and the team and have that discussion again.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah. Mark is asking, is there a SaaS report? Is there a SaaS Alerts M365 report showing Duo MFA configuration? Not yet. Mark, Duo's still coming out of beta. We're still building some reporting around that, but look for some of that in the near future. I don't know. I think what the team's goal is we have a really nice Google MFA report, Microsoft's challenging MFA report, and I would like to have the same for both Duo and Octa, if I can get that stuff out of there cleanly. If you take a look at settings and configure it, custom configuration, you can see what the different APIs or what each API is presenting as far as alerts. And right now, Duo is kind of weak. We're not getting a lot out of their syslog as much as we had hoped. So that's a challenge. We could be being handcuffed there. I know they're still working on that, as well as Ignite. Ignite, if you start to look at that same dialog box, Ignite's starting to present some really interesting data. But as far as Duo and Octa, we're not getting as much as we might have hoped. Octa's actually pretty much is better, but neither one of them give me bypass mode. You think that would be kind of important to know, you know? So let's let Steve in as well. Solid question, Mark. Keep complaining about that, and we'll keep yelling at our dev team, and they'll keep yelling at the applications to give us that data. Anybody else have any questions about Respond or any of the stuff that's coming down the pipe for that? Sam?
Yeah, so we are obviously excited about, the new stuff coming to Respond. Just this week before the leadership here all packed up and ran off to IT Nation, one of the things that I was tasked with working on was making sure that our Respond, how we're using it is lined up with, how our customers are paying for SaaS Alerts. And I don't really see anything where I can pull up this information, so I figure you guys would know. On the billing side, how does SaaS Alerts work? Like, do we, they pay per user and, any of the modules, work, or is it a per module thing? So like maybe, if they're only using Manage, it's cheaper than the other things. Because what I really want to do is use as much protection as we're paying for. But for some things, like if they're not paying us for the, I guess, manage do things, maybe they don't get the automated Respond rules. But I want to make sure everything is set up correctly on the back end.
No, absolutely. Sam, I believe this is going to 100% hold true moving forward. We have always been, you know what, you're going to pay the Cadillac price, you get the Cadillac ride. We're not going to charge you nickel and dime for the Respond or have you pay extra for, reporting or anything like that. You're paying for the product, you get everything that's in the product, and for the length of your contract, any new enhancements or enrichments that we add, those just come gratis. Those are included.
Okay, so if we've got a customer, we add them in, they've got Manage, they have everything actually.
It is correct. Yeah, not only the monitoring, but the response, the access to working with their controls and policies using Fortify, the reporting. If they're using a supported RMM, if you guys are using an RMM tool with them, then all the Unify stuff. Now, here's one of my 6 jokes. Sam, I'm happy to charge you extra if you like.
No, it's fine. No. Andy's not here to ask about price increases, so.
I was just going to say Andy too.
No, but that does answer my question, though. So okay, yeah. That tells me I can go in, turn everything back on, add all the modules to the customers. That won't change anything pricing-wise, and then I can go through and on each rule exclude the people who don't get.
Exactly. And we've had partners apply varying levels of service using the platform depending on what the client wants to pay for. But is it all Does that change your invoice from us? No, not in the slightest. Excellent. I'm sorry, I thought I saw somebody's hand go up and then I missed it.
Yeah, it looks like Steve. Steve, go ahead. What's your question?
Mr. Newman.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up,
Hey.
Steve?
How's everybody? All right.
Let me help.
So I don't remember if I asked this question on a different call. I apologize if I do. We're testing out access for our technicians to reach our clients' 365 environments via GDAP. Okay. And what comes up in the logs, at least as SaaS Alerts pulls them in, it creates some sort of user account that shows user underscore and then a long GUID of numbers. And the name is CNS Data User Technician. And the source IP is obviously a Microsoft IP. It generates SaaS alerts. Well, it generates an alert because I have a custom respond rule that says whenever someone logs into when the word Azure portal or PowerShell is in the description, generate an alert. So that's why it's making noise. I'm wondering, is there any way that we can tell it to create an exception for any GDAP access? Because if my team is going to be using this in production, how they're going to access all our clients, that's going to create a lot of alerts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Ben, I'm thinking wildcards and alerting 2.0 may be able to help with user underscore star. I'm also wondering if, and this is a question I don't know, if we're going to have the ability to with power filters to filter by groups, if that's an identified security group that we could better manage and respond rules. Either Logan or Ben, have you seen any insight on that?
There's been a light detail. So far, it's Fortified 2.0 is kind of but definitely something to look out for.
Okay.
So Steve, I think right now that's going to be a little noisy, but I think that depending on, I haven't seen the entire implementation of wildcards, but I think that would be able to solve that problem for you to allow to exclude those, and then of course build a separate rule to watch for how user underscore star is being used. Since it is your admin accounts, your more powerful accounts.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Two more short questions. I'm sorry, Ben.
I was gonna say I'm trying to think of any other way you could filter out that sort of thing based off of something that wasn't the username.
Well, it appears that no matter who the technician is at our MSP, it always says CNS Data User Technician or CNS Data Technician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that might be a flag too. I couldn't find the field in the filter to create an exception for that specific.
Yeah, I mean, they would be able to honestly, like, Anthony, if you want to bring this up to Amanda, if she really just allowed us to add a filter for the username field, that would be all that you would need to add an exception to a rule like that.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that now you mentioned that, Ben, we have also like just-in-time travel, right? If we lock down access to sign in only from the US and users traveling to Italy, right? So we create a conditional access policy exception for that user. Sometimes that will still create a SaaS alerts outside approved location sign-in alert. Not a conditional access violation alert, but an alert saying, hey, this user signed in outside approved location because the approved location is the United States. I'm wondering if maybe we can create some workflow in there that says, we have a user sends in a ticket to say they're traveling to Italy. Okay, so my team A creates a conditional access policy exceptions for that, and B goes into SaaS alerts, creates a username exception for signing in outside of approved location. I'm saying once we have that username field available to us, we can do more.
You can leverage it. Yeah.
I think that would be the quick and easy fix, Anthony. If she doesn't think adding a filter would be like a huge lift, which I don't think in the past it's been too terrible.
Yeah, and what Ben is referencing there is a lot of times if we have the data and it's just a matter of plugging it into the GUI and there's not a hell of a lot of logic behind it that's got to change, even Chip will say that's a 2 or 3 week lift. And with some of the expanded resources and the training, cross training we're doing right now, I'm hopeful that will shorten that window of opportunity. Now, if it requires some heavy coding in the back to change the logic, if the logic isn't in place, and it's not just a GUI change, and that obviously is going to require a lot more dev hours because it involves more than one team. I'm sorry, that's not, whenever I say obviously, it's kind of insulting, isn't it? If you're not clear on that, that is a very different process than just changing how existing data is presented in the GUI. So, yeah, we'll definitely take that back, Steve. That's good call. Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Okay, thanks. And then one last thing, this I know I've spoken about and Ben has spoken about, and these Microsoft data centers around the world generating loads of alerts. Any update on how we can minimize the noise?
Other than using Ben's number 9 on Ben's Getting Techie playlist.
Is that what it is? Is that number 9?
Yeah, and I usually will honestly like suppress those because it's not been very helpful.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's the tool, the way, and it's Steve. The true answer is power filters will solve that. It'll give you a lot more granular control. I could say if it happens in a Microsoft data center and it's a known IP ASN from Microsoft and it's a file touch, then just put it as low because we know that's already happening post IAM, and that is absolutely coming. And actually, we get some nice some indicators that it's getting a lot more of attention. And so I'm not going to count on it this quarter, but they might surprise me. So that is absolutely coming. And in the meantime, take a look at, Ben's Getting Techie. I'll just go to our YouTube link and find Ben's playlist, and I believe it's number 9, and it talks about how to crank that down and what some of the advantages and disadvantages of that might be. You're probably not going to miss much on the security side, but it will make it nice and quieter. Now, as an aside on that, one of the things that I love about my platform as an engineer is I don't just get to see what my clients are doing, but I get to see what Microsoft's doing with our data. And I don't know if it's a new data center in Dubai, but boy, are we seeing a lot of traffic out of the Dubai data center all of a sudden. So it's kind of funny to watch how Microsoft is adjusting their resource loads and where they're putting it. So that's useless aside, but it just amuses me.
Okay, thanks.
And yeah, absolutely. And Logan threw that. Thank you, Logan. Logan threw that into the chat. So.
I mean, the nice thing about seeing those activities is that when Microsoft is moving your data, it should be within a region for your Microsoft subscription. So if you're trying to catch Microsoft and if you find them moving data, which I'm sure is probably very rare, but if you like to keep track of what Microsoft's doing and following the details of your subscription with them as far as data handling, SaaS Alerts does provide that as well. But it can be, I think most helpful at a low severity.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. One of our Australian counterparts who rarely make this meeting, understandably, they don't have insomnia. They had a non-state entity, a customer that was not, part of the government, but absolutely was supposed to have their data on Australian soil, and they were able to prove that Microsoft was not exactly doing that. And so again, kind of watching the watchers is one of the fun things about this platform. Enrique, what's up, brother?
So just on that note regarding Microsoft and the region, we have everybody, all our tenants are in the US, and we're constantly seeing overseas. So not sure if the IP.
I wouldn't say it's not so much by the IP range, by the IP ASN, the identified Microsoft data center name, is how that power filter is going to work and how Ben's
but could
filtering
there be a
now.
skew there that something happened that now it's showing an ASN that's related actually to the US and it's showing it registered to overseas?
There could be, and that is a challenge just because there are so many different ICANN databases that they update one, and within hours or days it's supposed to update all of them. But the truth of the matter is this is an imperfect system, and there are times when we have seen literally, Enrique, we had a data center that one of our partners did business with in Florida. And they bought a whole block of IPs from, I don't know, Peru or something. And it took months for all the different databases to get caught up. And so we had to manually tamp out a bunch of those fires to keep those respond rules from misfiring. So
any other additional data that could be used to try to minimize, like some hidden code there.
And Enrique, it's sort of part and parcel of what we look at here. There's no one thing that's going to tell me this is a bad guy or a good guy. There's going to be stacked behavior. It's going to come from an IP. It's going to be at a different time. It's going to be doing behavior that we didn't expect. And it, might be a different piece of hardware. I've got to stack these things to filter out the false positives. And that's the challenge in the entire industry, just because of the nature of the beast. And so that's something that we constantly reiterate and work towards, is identifying what is normal behavior and what is not device centric, what is the behavior of the user. And I think that, God bless us, but I think that's where AI is actually going to help us out in some of that, is identifying what's normal.
Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, hot off the press, just got an email from Managed SaaS Alerts. MSA unified token used from high risk IP unknown device. And then we go into the email and really no data as far as the IP.
Yeah, when we get those alerts, our guys have to sign into the platform and look up the trigger and put that in there. So it's usually in a follow-up comment.
Correct. But is that a reason? I do get that follow-up. And
we would love for that not to be a thing.
But why is it a thing? Like, is it a glitch in SaaS Alerts, or
the lack of information in the email that we get from SaaS Alerts that I've told Adam about, and he said he's working on getting it to this, but I mean, because that would save us a tremendous amount of time too.
Well, plus the ones that are not on managed SaaS, they will get the correct information from scratch. So yeah, hopefully they can fix that from the root cause.
It would be amazing. Like that would save us literally hours a day.
Yeah, I know some people there, Ben. I could call up.
I can give you Adam's email.
I got it.
Yep, that's
excellent.
Yeah, his team.
Steve, thanks for those questions. That's I always appreciate your perspective. That's some good questions. What else is hanging fire, guys? What else is bouncing around your brain pan?
With Halo, what are you guys doing? Monitoring anything? Like with Data RMM, you monitor logs, even though we can't respond, but you get the information. With Halo, any?
I apologize, Enrique. It's a bit of a blind spot with me. I haven't dug into Halo yet. I don't know what the syslog is presenting.
Okay.
If we can get anything out of there that's of use, then we'll definitely put it in your hands. But I don't know yet.
We put tickets into it. Are they doing our RMM or something? Is that what it is?
No, that's true. So we can integrate it for tickets, but not as an app.
Oh.
That's where I'm sorry. I went off. So yeah, we can add it as an app. Like we have the rest. So I guess you can monitor login.
Right. Yeah. Or whatever. Log for whatever they're presenting as, when are your engineers logging into Halo? When are the people utilizing Halo? Kind of like IT Glue not only monitors what the engineers are doing, but the MyGlue stuff, we do get some telemetry on that, and so that's flowing in. So you have some idea of what your end users are doing with it as well.
But I imagine there has to be an app built, which is your integration into Halo, so we can set it up. Do we have to put in a feature request for that, or?
You absolutely can reach out to your account manager and say, we would love to get everything we can out of Halo. And I believe that's already in progress. But like I said, everybody on these calls, every time we hear from you, that's an upvote and lets our developers know where to focus their attention. So please keep this a two-way conversation.
Awesome.
Eric, I see you pop your camera on.
Yeah, I put in a support case, and I'll talk through the scenario here, and I think I'm going to put this in as a feature request, but there's part of me, the security side wants me to put in a feature request versus the functionality side, and I'm wondering what other people's thoughts are on this. So the scenario is there was an alert coming in, and we determined that for this particular client, we didn't need the alert, so we suppressed it. So now when we go and we look in the analyze logs for this client and this alert, we see that it's getting suppressed now, but also any past events that were previous to putting the suppression in are also tagged as being suppressed. But technically they weren't, right? So
they were not suppressed on that date, even though they were being suppressed on this date.
So the platform is working as expected. It's just how the events are tagged. And the security side of me is like, well, we're rewriting history then by putting that suppression tag on those. But the response I got from support team was kind of like, well, we don't look at the date when we suppress something. It's gets processed for the entire time. So does that seem like a valid feature request, or is there some functionality that I'm not thinking of that would be required or needed?
I'll give you my 2 cents, but I would love to hear from the rest of the audience. What does everybody else think about that?
I mean, logs and historical data are so important when going back. So knowing when something was suppressed, I mean, yeah.
I think that's a big bug.
Logs are the truth.
And we absolutely capture that the engineer did that they executed that suppression. So you could see that. But if you're using the analysis tool to look at that event or that user, you're not going to see that engineer suppressing that event. And that concerns me a little bit.
Well, and there could be some confusion, right? If you're looking to, like, I was looking to make sure this was getting properly suppressed, right? And so then I'm seeing all these that say they're suppressed, but then it's still showing that there was a ticket created, an email sent as well. So there's some confusion there that.
Why would that happen if it was suppressed?
Right.
Yeah. And I'll add to that if you go to the event monitoring suppressed section, it shows you the exact suppression rule and the expiration date, but doesn't show you the start date of the suppression. And you can make it 90 days, 365 days. So it's not just a subtraction. I'm going to minus 365 days from the expiration date. It doesn't state over there when the start date was either. So you really don't have any data to go look back at it. Someone else is going to look and say, hey, when did he start that rule, to try and get any accurate information.
Oh, that's absolutely valid. And I got to be honest with you guys. I thought that that is operating differently than the rest of how the logs work, because the logs, as I understood them, could never be changed. They were invalid. And that appears to be a little. It doesn't appear to be that I have a correct understanding of that when it comes to suppression. So we're going to go have that conversation with our folks.
Yeah, so I'll put that in as a feature request then, because
please do. Please do. And Eric,
what I was thinking is correct.
Do you have that ticket number, the support ticket number handy?
Yeah, it's 16643.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. We'll go ahead and that. Excellent.
Great
question.
Austin, a quick question.
What's that?
So, I heard from another MSP that uses SaaS Alerts that they got a huge uptick in the amount of email rule enabled alerts. And so, for us, we went from having like 400 over a 2-week period to having 4,000. It was literally a 10x increase. And it's all, I just posted it in the chat, but it's basically this NT authority /system. And then when I was looking at them previously, there's zero information in the JSON or anything. And anyway, so I'm just wondering what that is representing, because like I'm looking today and here's on one account, it went off 4 times on the NT authority.
So Austin, anybody else on the call who isn't familiar, Microsoft has used NT authority. It's a service as an account. And right. I swear to God, I'm going to date myself. I think NT351 was the first time I saw it. So Microsoft has used that methodology on-prem forever. And about 18 months, 2 years ago, one day, without notification from Microsoft, there was nothing published. All of a sudden, there was this account, NT Authority Sys, working in Azure, started at updating email phishing filters or something. And our support team blew up because nobody knew who this was. And a partner like yourself is like, hold it, who is this user and why are they touching every single one of my email accounts? Well, it took a couple of days. We got Microsoft to sort of fess up or at least be a little more public about what they were doing. And there's a nice knowledge base article, and we had a nice discussion recently in Discord about that same thing you're seeing. Well, that was 2 years ago that we saw the email filtering. And in the last 10 days, 2 weeks, Microsoft's using that, leveraging that same methodology, that same service as an account to, again, do something with email forwarding. And again, there was no notice on this. There was nothing that Microsoft provided us. But because we sort of identified that it was the same account, it's the same service, it was not external, it's absolutely internal, it's an Azure service running, it's just noisy. And so we got telemetry or some notice from Microsoft, again, about 2 years ago, that they would do this about twice a year. So expect this on a regular basis. And I don't know what else they're going to do with this account. And I don't want a blanket statement that says, hey, if it happens with NT Authority Sys, you can ignore it. But I think right now that's sort of the position we have to take. This is a known process from Microsoft. They've done a couple of different things with it. I don't know what they're going to do with it in the future. Keep an eye on it. But I think it's something that we can safely assume for today is innocuous.
What kind of email rules are you seeing created?
Every single one says SMTP forwarding is enabled
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I just talked to Amanda, and so this is obviously, like, don't hold me to this, but the username field, aka email address, should be as a filter and respond, as well as miscellaneous and file name, hopefully this Friday. And so what I would suggest you do is probably use respond to filter out the NT Authority system account, and that should hopefully take care of that.
Awesome. That's going to be great. And then that kind of ties into my next question, if that's okay, but I'd love to hear what y'all are doing when it comes to the outside approved location, because I know the issue with the data centers is resolved. But instead, I've been using Ben's rule to basically filter to only show me things that are outside the approved location from an unmanaged device. And it's so much less noisy, and it's like over the last week it's 80 instead of 400. And there it's a lot more likely to be actionable instead of just, it just deletes all of the alerts that I have that are real and I never see them because, like 50 get made at once. So I'm wondering if anyone's planning on going back to using outside approved location, or if they're just going to stick with a respond rule that, manages it.
We use pretty much strictly unify and respond, just because it narrows down a lot of the false positives. But good news is we're also expanding unify to cover Microsoft devices like Entra and Intune, which will be even better for known and unknown devices.
Yeah.
And we're making some improvements there too. But yeah, I mean, as far as managed is concerned, that's one of the main things that we look for. Just because outside approved locations happen when people travel and they don't, and we don't want to make the MSP run around in circles trying to track down every single account, especially when they get to a certain size. It's hard to track. But if we can narrow down to say, okay, well, at least you're using Unify, we know if it's an unknown or unknown, and then we'll alert off of that.
Awesome.
But yeah,
cool.
It's hard to keep
good info.
Hold of that.
I appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah, for sure, man.
No, appreciate the good questions, Austin. Sam, I don't want to steal Adam's thunder, but boy, are we starting to get some interesting things from Microsoft devices. even without an RMM in place. We had some very excited discussions about that yesterday, which is why at the top of this call, I was so excited to say, guys, we are continuing to innovate and develop, and this product is way far from being done. We got some exciting stuff coming in the next couple of quarters, and look for a very excited Adam to begin presenting some of that. I don't think he's going to be there presenting it this Thursday, but I'd say in the next couple of meetings, on the Thursday meetings, he's got some neat stuff to show off.
Yeah, there's just to address Mark's question. He said he has some users that want to access corporate resources on personal and unmanaged devices. I guess my question would be, would they object to having their personal devices in an Azure kind of directory? And if they would, I do know that Adam's trying to find a way for us to kind of okay unknown devices, but it really just a matter of, is there information coming from those devices that we can identify and reliably reference and say, okay, well, this is an unknown device, but it's a safe one because it has this ID on it or something like that.
Well, there was, I probably want to reference like T minus. He had a blog out just talking about that. So just yesterday, I think. So, but he had some suggestions on some policies and stuff like that. And I thought it might be useful to see if SaaS Alerts has that already built in.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's also like along the same line of the questions of people say, hey, can I enable this conditional access policy that says only known devices in Azure are allowed in? It's like, yeah, you can, but there's a lot of BYODs out there and mobile phones that you're going to be kicked off of.
Right.
So it's a great question. I don't know. Let me think about that.
Yeah, take a look at if you subscribe to T minus, he had a blog out there yesterday talking about what he would do to set up some policies, and I thought that was kind of interesting to kind of minimize your exposure to unmanaged devices and stuff too. So
I know Adam will probably kill me, but it's like if we had like just the smallest of little agents that would just be like, say, hey, this is fine, and like, and let's like, if you want to use your personal device, you install this small tiny little program that just basically says it's okay.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it really comes down to without that, just being able to reliably identify them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he had some suggestions in there of how to do it, but anyway.
And so what is this one? Is it just T minus?
Yeah, I'll grab the link just a second.
Okay, cool, thanks. Yeah, I'm always happy to add another RSS feed.
Honestly, and for anybody who is currently leveraging an RMM tool and that's supported by SaaS Alerts, that I'll point out that report that shows the number of managed devices versus unmanaged devices. We've had some partners who had no idea that they were supporting, a 10-person firm, that they were supporting 50 or 70 devices. And that's brought up some really interesting conversations like this. Do I allow my clients to put company data on hardware I don't have any control or visibility of? It's a valid question.
Those are just dependent on the company.
It really does. And then if we're going to allow that, now we're in Mark's boat. How the hell do I deal with this? So play with those reports on that.
Take a look at that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Will do. Thanks, Mark. Peter asked a fairly common question. What are you guys going to market with? Are you burying SaaS Alerts in your, tiers, whether it's bronze, silver, gold, platinum, whatever? Are you charging as a line item? And if you're charging as a line item, what are you charging? Is this worth $2 a seed to your clients? Is it worth $10 a seed? Anybody want to share any of their experience on that?
We're charging an arm and a leg for it. So we're charging $4. And when we went to managed, we upped it to $5.
Excellent. I appreciate that, Enrique. Thanks
You're
for your
welcome.
transparency.
Now we're a la carte, so we're not bundled into an all you can eat.
And Enrique, you're not alone. I know a lot of partners that have been a la carte for a long time. And if just for simplicity of billing, at least they can move their clients into a tiered billing model, then they will. But I see a lot of partners keeping SaaS alerts for the visibility and the automation and labor savings as part of their just base tier.
And this is
So
my two cents on it. Today, I don't sell any offering or service besides SaaS alerts. That's how I knock the door and get in and try. Why? Because no one believes in anything else. They don't believe in RMM. They don't believe in EDR. They don't believe in AV manage. They don't believe in SOC. They don't believe in anything. But everybody hears and reads every day about Microsoft 365 accounts being compromised, and how about Microsoft is on security and whatever they want to think. That's fine. But that's what we go and sell, and we knock on doors and tell them, hey, do you have Microsoft 365? Yes. There's one product, one service you must have. And we'll go full blown on SaaS alerts and why they need to have it. Then once we're in, then we'll try to upsell our stack, but we're our full other tools.
You know, Enrique, your model is in alignment with one of our larger partners. I had the opportunity to present and speak at one of our larger partners' annual internal conference, and that was their whole focus this year was think about an existing client. When I'm in the door and I'm doing a quarterly or I'm doing an annual, I'm presenting other things that we found, other security features that we could sell them, and that drives engineering projects. Then in the quarterly or the annual following up, I get to present in all these lovely reports the value of what we've just presented, and that opens the door to them maybe buying off on other security products. So it's a very circular process. You've got your foot in the door with one thing that shows your value. You become the trusted subject matter expert, and then that's going to lead when you tell them, oh, by the way, you need this as well, that trust is already built.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of funny that this is
And
a
then
sales
there's no
start.
agent. There's no agent. There's no like you're coming into my network, even though we're coming into their 365 network, but they don't see that. When you start deploying agents and software, it's you have to build that trust. And I believe coming in with a Microsoft 365 solution, that's a good trust.
That's fantastic. I very much appreciate that. And are you charging up to 5 per seat for a 500 seat client? That's a great question.
No,
Yeah.
that would definitely come down 25%, no more than 30%. We do they always get mad at me on the forums because they're like, does it cost you any less? And I'm like, it does not. I'm Mexican and we give ship for free. So that's just kind of, I call my Mexican customers, my SKUs are upped in price. So like SaaS alerts might be $7, but then we give them a discount and it's $5. It's just reverse psychology. If not, they won't buy, they don't see a discount. So
Oh, is that I've heard of girl math. Is that Vato math? Is that how that works?
that's Vato math. That's people, right. They expect the discount. They're like, in the discount? What discount? The discount. But that is a true statement.
No, and you're not alone. I have a very good friend who's from Eastern Europe, and every time they want to have a discussion about money, it's a 20-minute discussion about how much of a tip we're going to leave because, yeah, we're going to start high, they start low, you start low, they start high. And we come to something in the middle there. And it's as much of an entertainment as it is actually a monetary discussion. So
yeah.
I appreciate the perspective there. And that's a great question about how you adjust for size and scale. I haven't had a lot of partners asking about that, about, a percentage discount for 100 seats versus 500 seats versus, enterprise, 10,000 seats or whatever. Sam, what about percentage XX% label if it's obviously not the lowest possible price? Man, without that, yeah. Now, what is the basement? I don't know. What's the basement this week? I guess that's the question. Great conversations, guys. It's supposed to be a technical call, not a sales call.
That's why I'm not
that becomes
too
a
much.
technical issue that we cannot then have other technical issues to fix.
It's so funny. I come out of the what's the argument of customer success or account management? Which is it? It's I'm having problems figuring out where the line is drawn. Do you have account managers responsible for increasing and adding SKUs, or is it your customer success team, or is there really a difference in that anymore? And that's more of a larger, sort of corporate question. But I personally, in my user groups, proposed years ago that there was no difference between customer success and account management. It's we're both responsible for bringing new business or increasing existing business. But that's a small aside. And kind of to circle back to Peter's original question, guys, I've seen people eat the cost of SaaS alerts for the visibility and the labor savings. I've seen partners break even on it just so they have the tool in place and they're not getting the monthly feels like ding. And then everything else, what they save on labor is gravy after that. I've seen partners charge a couple of bucks a seat, a la carte. I've seen them mark it up 700%. So we kind of, all the market could bear, but the majority of the partners that I'm exposed to, once that annual contract comes around, SaaS alerts is a requirement. Somebody's going to pay for it, either in a tier or a la carte. They're just not making any choice. What's up, Peter?
Howdy, sir. I know what this looks like, but it says make cyber safe again.
I love it. Love it. Today you get a pass on that. Today you get a pass.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I wanted to mention that with the pricing, is that one of the things I talk to people about is that you're getting comparable security features to what you would pay with E5, okay, without that spend, without spending $50 per seat per month. You're getting, security logging that you would not get, the logging especially, even with an E5 license, because they're not keeping logs for a year unless you subscribe to the Microsoft Sentinel. So this is why I'm leaning towards the higher pricing than I am to, trying to, just cover your cost or throw it in. It takes, yeah, I know this is a technical call, but, you might have to take a sales approach with it to squeeze more money out of them.
No, and you're not wrong. We've known from the beginning that you could have Office basic licensing, but now with SaaS alerts, all of a sudden I've got conditional access by location. So there's a value add. And Peter, I think you missed at the top of the call. There was the question about, well, it's like, do I charge somebody extra for respond? Do I charge somebody extra for reporting, even though you guys are paying the same price? And so that's a valid question. It's a valid question. Or do I use this for monitoring and alerting, and then use the reporting to show, oh, what could you be doing? Hey, that thing that if I turned on respond, I could have automatically stopped that thing last night that my engineers didn't get around to this morning. So there's a lot of interesting conversations happening around that about what do we actually expose from the platform to our clients about the services we could provide. What's that worth?
To Tina's point about, that E5 gives you so much more Entra ID and et cetera. Yeah, there are some third-party solutions, including SaaS alerts that you can bolt on together and are very effective. They're outside of the Microsoft ecosystem, and they would still cost a lot less. And it also comes down to how lax Microsoft has been with, last month, back in September, they said they lost a month's worth of log records. And do you really want to put your eggs in one basket? They're getting slammed. If you look on LinkedIn, they're constantly getting slammed for their security that's not up to par to what AWS and Google is doing.
Now I'm going to throw a monkey in the wrench. If you come to your client, you say, Microsoft charges $10 for all these services, and I'm going to charge you an extra $1 for this and $1 for that and these third-party apps. If Microsoft started providing more of those services and it was Microsoft charging $12 or $15 for all those services, are you the bad guy or is Microsoft the bad guy? Do we want Microsoft to deliver more of these things that we're doing with third party now that we're having to upcharge and sell our clients? And then is it our fault or is it Microsoft's fault? And I don't have the answer to that, but that's something that we sort of talked about internally.
Interesting.
So do you eat that cost, or do you have Microsoft charge your clients for that cost? It's a valid question. Guys, about another 5 minutes left here. Thank you for the good questions. Is there anything else that we can cover in the next few minutes before I know several of us have to drop at the top of the hour? Excellent. Anybody who missed it, lots of interesting stuff coming out of Dev and the synergies we've got with Kaseya. So look for some exciting news on that front. Join us on Thursdays. Join us again here in 2 weeks. Anybody has any questions in the meantime, reach out to your account manager, and we're happy to have these breakout sessions anytime. That's not changing either. So I want to thank everybody for your time today, and go out and vote if you haven't.
Thank you guys. Stay safe.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.